Remnant from the Ashes is a great game and an interesting blend of different genres. Here are 10 things you want to know before you buy the game and before you start playing. Starting off with 5 things you want to know before you buy the game. Number 1. It is not really a Souls-like game. Although it borrows a lot of mechanics from Souls-like games, it is by far not as difficult or punishing as a real Souls-like game. For example, after you die, and you will die, you can keep all the experience points and gear you collected so far. Also, waypoints are placed pretty evenly across the map, so the maximum you have to replay after dying in a zone is about 10 to 20 minutes. Number 2. Game pacing. Now, compared to other shooters like Destiny or Warframe, this game offers a slower pace, because especially in the beginning you have to be much more careful, so it's more around peeking around corners, taking your time and using your tactical advantages. Number 3. Gunplay. Gunplay in this game is spot on. It is tight, it packs a punch, it is responsive. The gameplay is on par with titles like Destiny, and there's a whole bunch of different guns for every taste and you can make them all work, like guns that shoot around the corner or bounce off enemies, guns with explosive charges and inbuilt grenade launcher, submachine guns with a built-in flamethrower for close quarter combat, and a sniper rifle that can one-shot enemies halfway across the map. So you'll find a cool weapon for every playstyle. Number 4. Build diversity. Also, the build diversity in this game is pretty awesome. There are different sets with different bonuses, and you combine that with 3 different slots of equipment that give you extra bonuses or completely change some skills. That offers you a huge variety of different playstyles, and although there are some cookie cutter builds, you can make almost everything work. Number 5. Replayability. Now, Remnant from the Ashes offers a few very different zones where you can play. These zones are procedural generated. That means with every playthrough you experience a new map. Even if you die and you have to replay the last part, the enemies you encounter will place differently. If you focus on the main story and play through the DLCs, you are about to have 20 to 30 hours for a strict playthrough. But then you haven't encountered every boss and every weapon, so you will clock in easily 90 to 100 hours for your first character if you want to max it out. That said, the tile sets are a little bit limited in terms of diversity, so the areas will feel a little samey after a while. And there's no true endgame beside playing on a higher difficulty through the same content after you maxed out your character. There are a few different modes like hardcore and survival, and they offer very different pace for the game, but there are no dedicated endgame activities. Next up, 5 things before you start playing the game. Number 1. First playthrough. On your first playthrough, I highly recommend just play through the story and the DLCs. Don't use the adventure mode yet or the save game manager. While these are fantastic tools to max out your character, the experience you get from your first playthrough is somewhat unique, and you might want to take it in just that way. Number 2. Dodge. Now, although this is a shooter and the combat is mainly ranged, the dodge function is very important. So make sure you keymap your dodge to an easy accessible mouse button or something similar. Also keep in mind there is a neutral dodge. Without heading into any direction, this dodge offers the same utility on a much shorter animation, so make use of that. Number 3. Starting class. If you have played any kind of RPG, you know that you can get absolutely lost creating a character and choosing a class. While this game offers 3 different classes from the beginning, it doesn't really matter which class you choose. Because after the game starts and before you will encounter any serious combat, you will be able to purchase the other classes' skills, weapons and sets. Number 4. First bosses. Now, in this game, when you encounter your first boss, it might be the hardest and most annoying encounter of your whole game. You are new to the mechanics and the damage ramp up coming to your first boss is definitely noticeable. but the game offers you also the ability to grind some extra gear and skill points before you face your first boss, because things like the adventure mode are available right from the beginning and they don't interfere with your story playthrough. Number 5. Diversity. Although you can finish the game with your first weapons and your first gear set, make sure every time you encounter a new set item, a new ring, a new amulet or a new gun, test it out and see what it does. You might be surprised how well some things work out and how much fun it is to play with the different builds. And if you're really struggling with the first bosses, try to go for a Lethos set and build yourself a bleed regeneration build. With that build, you will be able to face tank most bosses on hard difficulty with no problem. Now I hope these 10 things that I would have liked to know before I picked up the game were informative and interesting for you. If that is the case, please leave me a like and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget, take care of yourself.